everybody, welcome back. And as always, thank you for everybody who has liked, watched, subscribed, commented, asked questions. We appreciate it. And for everybody who has shared it on social media, we appreciate it. And we always look forward to answering your questions and getting people on here with more experience than just my experience. Here's an idea of what happened on Sunday when we were driving through this snowstorm. Yep, very low visibility. You can't see the car in front of you. It was quite the adventure. So if you're coming to Canada, if you're thinking about moving to Canada, think about the weather. And here is what to expect during the winter. All right, so we're gonna pick up where we left off in episode 1, where I said, okay, I came to school. The Express Entry program rolled out in 2015, and I had come in 2014. So, you know, it's a new program. It's just rolling out. You really don't know the ins and the outs of it, and you don't know how it's going to work. So, you know, I had to have a couple of backup plans because I didn't know if the Express Entry is what was going to work out for me. I thought about the labor market impact assessment, where my employer would have to sponsor me and say, you know, this Jamaican is the only person that can do this work right now. We can't find a Canadian to do it, so please can we hire this Jamaican? Or the provincial nominee program, where the province nominates me and says, you know, this Jamaican will be a good addition to our province. Bring her here. So those were my backups, right, at the time, because I didn't know much about the Express Entry and I didn't know if it was going to work. I didn't know if I would have enough points even. So, you know, I got a job right out of school. I worked, and I tried entering the Express Entry pool a couple times, and it says I was ineligible. Now, I don't know why it was saying that, because even if you don't have enough points, I don't know what makes you ineligible. But I tried a couple of things. I think the first time when I submitted, I had put X amount of money, and then for some reason I changed it just before submitting, and it was lower than what the immigration considers the minimum amount of money that you need to have for one person trying to migrate to Canada. And if you don't know what that is, you can check out the How to Move to Canada video, and it will give you the amount of money that you need to have based on the website. So I think I changed the dollar value, and then it says, oh, you're ineligible. I'm like, oh. So this was probably in June of 2015. Where I was like, oh, okay. I had just done my English test. I submitted my profile and it said, ineligible. I was like, oh, that's strange. So, you know, I reviewed my profile again to see, you know, what could have caused that. I don't know really what did. I changed the money, and I reviewed that all the rest of the information is accurate, and submitted again in probably July, and still it said ineligible. I was like, oh. So I thought to myself, well, maybe I need 1 year of Canadian experience. Now, that is not, I'm not saying that that was the case. I honestly don't know why it says only I was ineligible. And of course, that was the first year. So maybe there were kinks in the system that needed to be worked out. I honestly don't know. I didn't sweat it too much because I said, okay, fine. My work permit will expire in November of this year. So I have a couple months, right? July, August, September, October, November. So yeah, I have 4 months before, you know, I have to leave the country. No big deal. I can figure it out, right? I'm gonna figure out it, right? I booked plane tickets without a passport and a visa. I mean, what's the worst that could happen, right? I swear, it's like every single process was probably on edge for me, because there's never seemingly enough time for me to figure everything out, to apply everything. Because I applied for my work permit in November of 2014. So I had November to November before anything expired, right? And during the process, you are on the edge of your seat. You are checking your email. You are figuring out, how can I get more points? And my employer initially entertained the idea of the labor market impact assessment and the provincial nominee program, thank God. And we actually had started those processes because I feel like I needed a backup plan. I didn't know if the express entry was going to work out for me. So what happened now, on the anniversary of my 1 year working with this company and 1 year working with Canada, I said, okay, if this doesn't go through now, I'm toast. So I rechecked my profile, made sure I had everything right, made sure I did all of the necessaries and made sure I had all the accurate information, and I submitted my profile. And it was a Wednesday. I remember it like it was yesterday. And it was the Wednesday, the week after my 1 year work anniversary. So I'm like, I must get the points. No. And it went through. So I'm like, okay, perfect. So I'm in there and I'm swimming around. So when I submitted, I had 499 points. Yay! So, I was in there and I was swimming around. It was Wednesday, and then it's Thursday, and then it's Friday. And on Friday, I get an email. I'm like, what is this email? That email, 2 days after I submitted my profile that had been previously ineligible twice, was immigration saying, you have been invited to apply for permanent residency. Now, I don't know how often that happens. And I thank God every day for how everything worked out for me, because I swear. Because I didn't, it was September. It was 2 months before my work permit would expire. 2 months before. If nothing happened, I would have to leave Canada, legit, or pay $13,500 again to go to school. So I've been invited to apply for permanent residency, and I was happy that that finally came through, because now I don't need to go through with the LMIA or the provincial nominee program, because as appealing as those processes sound, the paperwork and the kind of scrutiny that the company will undergo for that process, it was a lot. And after a while, it was like, I don't know if we want to do this, Kristina, which I understand. But my profile went through the Friday, and I was like, oh, I gotta go get my stuff. Luckily, so I was in Jamaica the first week of September, did my police certificate and all of that stuff, just in case I get invited to apply immediately after I submitted my profile, right? Because that always happens. Not. But I had my police certificate, so I just had to do everything else. So you have to get your police certificates for both the country that you were living in before, or any other country that you had lived in 6 months. Now it's a little bit different. I believe it's 183 days, but check the CIC website to see what the requirements are now. You had to do a medical. You had to fill out the forms properly. You had to take your picture. You had to do all wonderful stuff. But they give you a wonderful checklist. Just follow the checklist, get it done. And I had assembled everything together, and I had an immigration lawyer just look it over for me. Can you just review these documents to make sure that I have everything completed properly? And for the most part, I did. There was one field that was, I should say 2014 to present. I just left it blank. So she just said, fill in the blank term present. They don't want to see anything blank up in that joint. Okay, don't leave anything blank. Fill everything out. Put not applicable, put dash something. Don't leave it blank. And now it is October 11th, and I submit my application. So now I have exactly 1 month before my work permit expires. Now, what do you do in this situation? If you get an email from CIC saying that, we have received your application and it is approved in principle, then you can work on that. Work meaning you can still hold down your job and not have to leave your job or leave the country because your work permit has expired. You can work with that. So, I had checked the forum that I was in, and there were a couple people who actually had their things processed in 2 months. So I was like, well, maybe I'm just gonna be lucky like that. You know what I mean? Because I'm always just getting stuff, in the nick of time. So maybe the day before my work permit expires, I'll get something, and then I won't have to leave the country or leave my job. But what I did in the background was prepare an application to bridge your work permit. Now, to bridge a work permit, you would have to have had an application in for permanent residency. That's my understanding. That's the only way you can bridge a work permit. Now, if there's any other way, somebody else or an immigration lawyer may be able to say, but at the time, my research said you can bridge it if we have received an application in for permanent residency and you are waiting for approval. So I had put that application together just in case I didn't get the letter saying, Kristina, you have been approved, girl, you don't need to bridge your work permit. So my work permit would have expired November the 12th, and on November the 6th, I didn't get that letter. And the application to bridge your work permit at the time was a paper application. And of course, it takes time to get there. They have to receive it and all that wonderful stuff. So I was like, okay, I think I should just send it. So on the 6th of November, I sent it. I FedExed it off to the office in Alberta, and I'm waiting. So of course, November the 12th comes, and I don't hear anything from my permanent resident application. My application to bridge my work permit is in, they received it, and I'm sure they haven't opened it yet. So what do I do now? Do I have to leave my job? Now at the time, I don't know if anything has changed. If you have a work permit that has just expired, but you have already submitted an application to have your work permit extended, or you have an application in for permanent residency that has been approved in principle, you can still work and you are in what's considered implied status. When you're in implied status, you can work normally, your same 40 hours or 45-hour job. You can't leave the country or you won't be able to come back. So that is where I was at. So from November until God knows when, I must not leave, which means that for Christmas, I won't be able to see my family. I have to stay put. Keep your job. Don't go anywhere. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. So of course, time passed by, December passed, nothing. January passed, nothing. I remember like just being on edge all the time. Like my phone would ring at 9 o'clock in the morning, and it's my mom, and I'm like, Mommy, it's 9 o'clock. I'm usually at work at 9 o'clock. Has something bad happened? Cause I was just on edge. I'm just like, when is this thing coming? Oh my God. So, months passed. As I told you, you just have to be patient. But in the US, I hear that the process could last up to 15 years if you're trying to sponsor somebody or grant citizenship for somebody, or even longer. So, I've been waiting for 2 months. It's okay. I'm under implied status. I can work. It's okay. USA. But of course, during that time, I have no health insurance coverage. February comes around and I get a new work permit in the mail. So the bridging your work permit application works. And what I did read is that because it's a paper application, it takes some time to get to it. But I get to it eventually, and they process it, and then you get another work permit. So I actually got a brand new work permit in February. So I was grateful for, for them to make considerations like that, because it could happen. And of course it did happen. But you can just bridge your open work permit if you submitted an application for your express entry, if you're already in Canada, or if you're already on a work permit in Canada, right? Then the next month, March, there's some movement on my permanent residency application. So I'm like, oh, okay, so they approved my medical after 3, 4, 5 months. Great. They have, done their background check and I'm clean. And now they're like, okay, send us your passport. I'm like, yes, that is basically like, you're almost at the finish line. They're wanting your passport. Yay. Submit my passport, and I got it back in a week with my passport and my confirmation of permanent residency and instructions as to how to do my landing. So now, if you do the math, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Alright, joking. Okay, it wasn't that long. October, November, December, January, February, March, April. And by April, I had done my landing, done my everything, and it took another 2 months to get the actual permanent resident card in the mail, right? So it's a 6-month processing time for the express entry program for me. Some people have had it quicker, some people have had it a little bit longer. I think it depends on your situation, it depends on the volume that they have for that month, and it depends on how many times you've traveled. What we sort of observed based on the people who were in my forum was that if you only have 2 stamps in your passport to say that you've only been to this place and this place, versus if you've traveled quite a bit to different countries, then the background check process, I think, takes a little bit longer. Now, that's not any proven science, it's just an observation on what we observed amongst a group of people, strangers, who submitted the application at the same time. So,